I must honestly say that when I saw this, I was actually very surprised. But it seems to me that Richard things have occurred. One, Richard Spencer has come out and said that his alt-right movement has pretty much been an epic fail, which we all knew, because every time he went somewhere, it would always be some kind of physical confrontation that would happen in which he would always lose and always get hit. And music to my ears. I'm sure his jaw was hurting, but it is what it is. And then, Richard Spencer's personal life just took a downward spiral. He couldn't afford a $4 shot of bourbon. He had physical assaults with his then wife. So everything about the guy was just repulsive, just everything about him. Even this picture where he looks like he's the spawn of Damien Thorne, aka the Omen. But what I found out, and I'm gonna read the article, is that Richard Spencer has come out to support Joe Biden. I was like, oh, really? Well, this is an interesting turn of events. I said, I wonder what's in it for him? Like, what is he trying to get out of this? And then I came across something else, and I don't want to say it right now because it may be in the article. And I said, oh, that's why he's doing it. So let me go ahead and read this article coming from Newsweek. White nationalist Richard Spencer has said he will be backing Democratic candidate Joe Biden in November's election after previously distancing himself from 45. Spencer, who was one of the key figureheads in the alt-right movement, tweeted how he is on Team Joe on Monday, adding in a self-made campaign slogan, "Liberals are clearly more competent." In a series of tweets, Spencer further explained his reasoning for backing Biden. The MAGA alt-right movement is over. I made mistakes, too many. One of them was being born. But that was more of a mistake on your mother. Trump is an obvious disaster, but mainly the paradigm contained flaws that we now are able to perceive. And it needs to end, Spencer wrote. So be patient. We'll have another day in the sun. Another day in the sun. That's funny. We need to recover and return in a new form. We didn't even want you in your old form. What makes you think we want you in your new form? In another tweet, Spencer added, I will never flip on my fundamental principles. My principles were never voting for the supposed lesser of two evils or stopping big government. Walking into certain defeat, even death, is not heroic. It's foolhardy. I have no sympathy for martyrs. I admire winners. The Southern Poverty Law Center describes Spencer as a suit and tie version of the white supremacists of old. Spencer first rose to prominence in 2016 after shouting "Hail Trump" and being greeted with Nazi salutes at an event in Washington shortly after Trump was elected. However, Spencer said earlier this year that he regrets voting for Trump following the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. I probably mispronounced his name. Spencer feared that 45 approved airstrike, which resulted in the death of this man, brought the U.S. to the brink of a war with Iran. I deeply regret voting for and promoting 45 in 2016, Spencer tweeted. To the people of Iran, there are millions of Americans who do not want war, who do not hate you, and who respect your nation and history. After our traitorous elite is brought to justice, we hope to achieve peace, reconciliation, and forgiveness. Spencer also led a protest against the Trump administration launching an airstrike on a Syrian airbase in 2017. Credited with creating the term alt-right, Spencer was also one of the main organizers of the neo-Nazi Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017, at which counter-protester Heather Heyer died after being struck by a car driven by white supremacist James Alex Fields. In a statement released on the third anniversary of the deadly rally, Biden said 3 years ago today, the world watched in horror as neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and far-right extremists with torches in hand descended on Charlottesville, Virginia, spewing the same anti-Semitic bile that was heard in Hitler's Germany in the 1930s. It was a moment of testing for our country and a wake-up call to the fact that hate never dies, it only hides. And when our leaders give it oxygen, it can come roaring back to life. And then our president claimed that they were very fine people on both sides. 45 had the audacity to assign moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those who stood against it. I knew then that we were in a battle for the soul of this nation, and I knew that I could not stand by and let Donald Trump destroy the core values of this nation. Now, 3 years later, we can see even more that everything that has made America is at stake. Spencer and Biden's campaign team have been contacted for comment. Now, it didn't mention in the article what I wanted to say initially before I started reading it, so I'm going to go ahead and mention it now. There was something else that I had came across, and I'm not even going to read it, but the headline itself basically said something along the lines of Richard Spencer wanted to be some kind of an endorser for Biden's campaign, and they quickly and swiftly denied it, because they like, you can come out and say that you support us and whatnot, but we're not going to accept the donation because we know what type of person that you are. And that would taint our moves, as if they aren't already tainted, but whatever. For all we know, now that I think about it, what if Richard Spencer doesn't really support Joe Biden? What if he feels he's throwing himself in there as a wrench to kind of derail the campaign? Because a lot of people have, when they think of Richard Spencer, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. He's not a likable guy whatsoever at all. I don't think anybody likes this guy. Even other white people don't like him. They see him as just this low-level, bottom-tiered creep that is looking for attention and just craving attention. He's basically the heterosexual version of Tinker Bitch. And those of you who know who I'm talking about, who've been on my channel for a while, know exactly who I'm talking about without me having to say his name. But I just thought it was interesting now that he comes out and he says that he supports Joe Biden. That's like the comedy of, well, one of the comedies of the week, because there's plenty of more. But I don't know how to take this. Richard Spencer just, it sounds like a trickster move to me, like he's trying to play both sides, but he claims he's no longer a supporter of 45. But I'm gonna be honest, it's because alt-right failed. It's dried up. No one's really messing with it anymore. And I think after what happened in Charlottesville, that was the last straw right there. Like, people didn't want to be attached to that anymore, because that brought a lot of bad press, but a lot of bad press to that so-called organization.